Have you ever wondered about the decisions you made today? Like what you wore, who you text back first, or what about that post you lingered on 3 seconds too long? Your brain had a reason for all of it. Think of human behavior like a fabric. Thousands of invisible threads pulled tight across everything you think, feel, and do. Most of the time, you never notice them. You just wear the sweater and assume it fits. But what if someone started pulling on one of those threads? Not hard, just enough to make you look down. That's what this video is. Welcome to the psychology facts that expose human behavior. We're going to pull on a few threads of human psychology, one by one. And by the time we're done, the whole fabric of how you see yourself is going to look a little different. Let's start with something small, something you definitely experienced but never had a name for. In 1966, a psychologist named Elliot Aronson ran an experiment at the University of Minnesota. He played recordings of people answering quiz questions for an audience. Some people got the answers right, some got them wrong. But then in one version of the recording, the high performer accidentally knocked over a cup of coffee. And here's what happened next. That person, the smart one who spilled the coffee, was rated the most likable of every single group, more than the person who was perfect, more than the person who was average. Your brain is wired to distrust perfection. And 60 years later, it's gotten stronger. A 2025 European science study found that the pratfall effect is amplified in the age of curated social media. The more polished someone looks online, the less your brain believes them. Neurologically, an influencer with a flawless feed is less trusted than someone with a typo in their caption. Your brain sees the typo, the stumble, the imperfection, and it whispers, okay, this one's real. At least if you don't overdo it. Here's the part where it gets uncomfortable. Because the next thread isn't about how you judge other people, it's about the lies your brain tells you about yourself, and it never stops telling it. Right now, as you're watching this, you're doing something, you're evaluating, you're thinking, okay, pratfall effect. That makes sense. I can see how other people fall for that. Other people? That's the thought right there. That's the next thread. And it's one of the most well-documented cognitive failures in all of psychology. The lies your brain tells you every day. It's called the bias blind spot. And a 2024 replication study confirmed something genuinely disturbing about it. You can spot everyone else's bias instantly. You see, when your friend is being irrational, when your coworker is letting emotion cloud their own judgment, when a politician is cherry-picking data, you're excellent at catching other people's blind spots. And you are 100% convinced you don't have any of your own. The 2024 data showed that the smarter you think you are, the stronger the blind spot gets. Not weaker, stronger. The more confident you are in your own rationality, the less likely you are to catch yourself being irrational. Intelligence doesn't protect you from biases. It gives biases better camouflage. Think about that for a second. The tool you trust most, your own judgment, is the one that's lying to you most consistently. And it's doing it right now. While you're listening to me explaining that, it's doing it. You're probably thinking, okay, sure, but I'm more self-aware than most people. That's the blind spot talking. Now, if your brain is lying to you about your own objectively in real time, that raises a genuinely scary question. What else is it lying to you about? Because the next thread we're going to pull back doesn't just expose a bias, it exposes a flaw in the one thing you rely on more than anything else. Your memory. Everything you remember is being quietly edited. Every time you think about it, this is called memory reconsolidation. And it's not new. Neuroscientists have known about it for decades, but most people have never heard of it. And when they do, it changes how they think about their own past. Here's how it works. When you recall a memory, your brain doesn't play back a recording. It reconstructs the memory from pieces, and every time it reconstructs it, it saves the new version over the old one. Like opening a document, making small edits, and hitting save without realizing you change anything. The edits aren't random, they're emotional. Your brain rewrites the memory using whatever you're feeling right now. So that argument you had 3 years ago, the one you remember perfectly, you don't remember what exactly happened. You just remember the version your brain wrote the last time you thought about it, colored by whatever mood you were in at that time. This is why two people can experience the same event and have genuinely different memories of it. Neither one is lying, both brains just edited different files. And it gets worse. The more emotional significant the memory, the more your brain edits it. The memories you're most sure about, your clearest, most vivid collections, are the ones that have been rewritten the most times. The things you're most certain happened exactly the way you remember, those are the most edited files. So your brain lies about biases. It rewrites memories without telling you. And you're walking around making decisions based on information that have been corrupted at every level. But here's where the threads start pulling, in a direction that most people don't expect. Because the next one isn't about thinking, it's about feeling. And it turns out your brain has preferences that explains almost everything about modern life. Your brain prefers bad news over no news. That's not a metaphor. That's 2025 neuroimaging. Researchers put people in brain scanners and gave them two conditions: waiting for unknown results and receiving confirmed bad results. The uncertainty conditions lit up the brain's distress center harder than the bad news conditions. Not a little harder, significantly harder. Your brain's uncertainty processing regions activate more intensely than its pain circuits. In plain English, you can't stop doom scrolling and why bad news feels like relief. Your brain would rather know something terrible is happening than not know what's happening at all. This is why you can't stop checking your phone. This is why breaking news works on you every single time, even when you know it's designed to exploit you. Your brain isn't addicted to bad news. It's addicted to resolution, and bad news is the resolution. Good news is resolution too, but bad news is faster. It arrives first. It's more available, and your brain treats the relief of finally knowing like a small reward, even what you know is terrible. So that's information, headlines, news, stories. Your brain treats all of it like a slot machine, pulling for resolution. But what if I told you it gets even smaller than that? Not headlines, not stories, individual words, just letters arranged on a screen. Because according to a 2025 study from Virginia Tech, words are not just symbols, they're chemicals. Researchers found that emotionally charged words, not images, not experiences, just words, trigger neurotransmitters released in your brains the same way drugs do. Breathe the word love, and your brain releases a microdose of the same chemical as a hug. Read the word betrayal, and your stress response nudges upward. Read "you're fired" in a text, and your body reacts before your conscious mind even finishes processing the sentence. Your brain cannot tell the difference between experiencing an emotion and reading a word that describes one. Think about that for a second. Your text messages, your feeds, the comments you read, the DMs you reread at 2 a.m. Every single word is a microdose of something, and you're taking thousands of doses a day without a prescription. Which brings us to the thread that ties the doom scrolling, the bad news addiction, and the word chemistry all together. Because there's a place where all three of those focuses converge at once, and you're probably holding it right now. The screen is rewriting your self-image, and it only takes 4 weeks to revise. In 2024, researchers ran a controlled trial with 220 social media users. They split them into two groups. One group continued using social media normally. The other group was restricted to 1 hour per day. 4 weeks. That's it. The restricted group showed measurable improvements in body image. Not self-reported "I feel better" improvements. Measurable shifts in how they perceive their own physical appearance. In just 28 days, 4 weeks of reduced exposure, and the brain started recalibrating its self-image, which means 4 weeks of full exposure is actively distorting it. And here's the thread that connects this to everything we've talked about. Your brain edits your memories based on your current emotions. Your emotions are shaped by the words and images you consume, which means keeping you uncertain, which means feeding you content that activates your distress centers more than your reward centers. It's a closed loop. The algorithm feeds you content that changes how you feel, which changes how you remember, which changes how you see yourself, which changes the content you engage with, which feeds the algorithm. You're not using social media. Social media is using your neurochemistry. But this isn't the darkest thread in the fabric, because there's something your brain does with the information it can't share that is, in some way, more damaging than anything a screen can do. In 2024, researchers quantified something that people have always felt but never measured: secrets that physically hurt. When you have a secret, a real one, something that matters, your brain replays it between 20 to 30 times per day. Not when you're trying to think about it, involuntarily. The secret intrudes on your thoughts like a song stuck on repeat, except the song is your worst fear about yourself. And it doesn't take up mental space. It creates a measurable cognitive load. Your working memory gets hijacked. Decision-making degrades. But because your brain is running a background process that you can't close. But here's the part that surprises researchers. The relief doesn't come from resolving the secret. It comes from telling one person. Just one. Not a therapist necessarily, not a public confession, just one human being who now shares the information with you. The brain treats this like closing a browser tab. The cognitive load lightens, not because a secret is resolved, but because the burden is distributed. Your brain was not designed to hold information alone. It was designed to share processing power, and when you focus it to carry something by yourself, it protests by replaying the thing 20, 30 times per day until you let someone else carry part of the weight. Now, we've been pulling on threads about your brain for a while, how it lies to you, how it rewrites your past, how it's vulnerable to words, screens, and secrets. But there's one thread left, and it's the one that pulls the hardest, because it doesn't just expose your brain, it exposes the entire field that's been studying it. Everything that I've told you so far is based on peer-reviewed psychological research, like studies from major universities, replicated findings. But there's a problem with almost all of it, and it's a problem that the field has known about for over a decade and still hasn't fixed. It's the biggest blind spot in all of psychology, and it's called the weird problem. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. WEIRD is an acronym. It stands for Western Educated, Industrialized, Rich, and Democratic, and approximately 90% of all published psychology research has been conducted on weird populations. 90%. 9 out of 10 studies conducted on roughly 12% of the world's population, and then published as if the findings applied to all of humanity. That biased blind spot we talked about, studied primarily on American college students, memory reconsolidation, mostly Western labs. The Pratfall effect, University of Minnesota in 1966. The entire framework of human behavior that you and I have been discussing for the past few minutes is built on a database that represents a global outlier, not the average human experience, the inception. Researchers from the University of British Columbia called the weird population among the least representative population one can find for generalization about humans. This doesn't mean the studies are wrong. It means they might be incomplete. The Pratfall effect might work differently in collectivist cultures where individuals' imperfections carry different social weight. The biased blind spot might manifest differently in societies with different relationships to authority and hierarchy. We've been studying the human brain by studying one very specific type of human brain and then calling the results universal. And the final thread tied this all together. Because if psychology has been studying a narrow slice of humanity, and your brain is already lying to you about your own objectively, and your memories are being rewritten by emotions shaped by algorithms designed to keep you distressed, then how much of what you believe about yourself is actually you, and how much is just the fabric you were woven into? There's one more thing, and it might be the most unsettling of all. Your bad habits might be your immune system. In 2026, researchers at the University of Technology, Sydney published a finding that rewrites how we think about compulsive behavior. They found That inflammation in the brain's region called the striatum, the area responsible for motivation and reward, can directly produce compulsive behavior. Not contribute to it, produce it. The striatum is the part of your brain that decides what feels rewarding and what doesn't. When it's inflamed, their reward signals get distorted. Things that shouldn't feel compulsive become compulsive. Habits that you've been beating yourself up about might not be a willpower problem. They might be an inflammation problem. This doesn't mean every bad habit is medical, but it means the line between I can't stop doing this because I'm weak, and I can't stop doing this because something is physically wrong in my brain, it's a lot blurrer than anyone told you, and that's the last thread. We started with a spilled cup of coffee in 1966. We ended with inflamed brain tissues in 2026, and somewhere in between, every thread we pulled revealed the same thing. You are not who you think you are, not because there's something wrong with you, but because your brain was never designed to give you an accurate picture of yourself. It was designed to keep you alive, keep you social, keep you moving. Accuracy was never the priority, survival was. And every day you walk around wearing a fabric stitched together from biased judgments, rewritten memories, chemically manipulated emotions, and pattern-matching software that hasn't been updated since the savannah. The good news? Now you can see the threads, and once you can see them, you can start choosing which ones to pull and which ones to let go. Tell me, what thread did we pull today that hit you the hardest? Drop it in the comments, because I guarantee whatever you think exposes you the most has something about you that's worth exploring. Question everything, think deeper, and I'll see you guys on the next one.